Hall of Fame started in 2009. So this is the 8th year that we've done this program, and in a moment, Jim Vigil will share how we have made a change. Currently, there are 37 individuals who are members of the Athletic Hall of Fame. There are 3 teams. This evening, we will add 5 new members. Initially, 8 years ago, Jim Rowe, from the class of 76, chaired a committee of coaches, of faculty members, of alumni to identify the first 3 groups. And during those meetings to select the Hall of Fame group, Jim Vigil showed up and he started providing information and data as if he had lived with every single game or event that had ever happened and had this memory of everything that has ever happened at Shorecrest Athletics. So it seemed totally appropriate when Jim Rowe said, "I'm ready to pass the mantle," that he gave the leadership to Jim Vigil. And Jim, you have done a spectacular job of leading us through the Hall of Fame. And so you are our master of ceremonies this evening. We thank you for all you do, and I hope for all of you, this is a very memorable night. Thanks for all you do. Jim?
Make sure I can see this. Well, welcome everybody. Thank you for being here. Welcome to the Shorecrest family. Parents, students, athletes, coaches, current and former, friends and family. This is a community, and we're glad that everybody's able to be here. Sports, as we know, is a community as well, and lifelong connections. So we're excited about tonight, and hopefully you'll be excited about what we do here. We want to celebrate the rich history of Shorecrest Athletics, and also look at the standout current student athletes. Mike said thanks. Again, thanks to everybody. Also want to mention the Booster Club and again, the athletic department for putting this on. We envisioned this, and we wanted to see the connection between the alumni and the current students. So Mike gave a little bit of a background about the Hall of Fame, kind of how we got here, the 8 years and the number of teams, and it's something we're very proud of. Former male athletes, female athletes, girls basketball, tennis, swimming, golf. It doesn't matter. We look for the best former athletes in all the different sports, and we've done a really good job of making sure those that made an impact here are recognized. And so for the current athletes, we want you to know that people recognize what you're doing. And not only does it matter to you and your family, but as a school, we're proud of you, and we want to let you know that whether you're golfing, whether you're bowling, do you have bowling? That's what I thought. That's the other thing, is there's a lot of sports that weren't here 30 years ago. So, let me get back on track here. So what does it mean to be in the Hall of Fame? I get asked that question all the time. So to be eligible for the Hall of Fame, an alumnus must have attended Shorecrest for at least 3 years. It must be 6 years since their graduating class. And then we have a criteria, and this is the part that some people miss. You have to have at least 4 boxes checked out of a 13-point criteria. So whether you were an All-American, All-State, Pinellas County Player of the Week at least 2 times, a holder of a school record, drafted in a sport, or went on to play in college. If you have 4 of those boxes marked, you can then move on to be in the criteria of being nominated for the Hall of Fame. So we think that we do our due diligence, and we want to make sure that we recognize that. Why did we change the format? In the past, we've had lunches, and lunches have been great. And let me tell you, anybody that was fortunate enough to go into the Hall of Fame, we all treasure those moments because our family and our former coaches, my AD, my assistant coach when I was 13, who's been for every way through, they were all there, but the problem was that was it. So we had these little pockets of folks, and it was a great moment, and wouldn't change it for the world. But this gave us an opportunity, because we started to realize, as the Hall of Fame committee went and talking with Mike, we were missing the mark. In our charter, it says, the Shorecrest Athletic Hall of Fame provides an intergenerational link between past athletes, coaches, teams, leaders, and today's and tomorrow's student athletes. Well, doing that all by ourselves wasn't doing that. So that's why we have tonight's event. And what we want to accomplish tonight is not only to invite in the 2017-18 Hall of Fame class, but also to recognize the current outstanding female and male athletes of the current high school classes. We're going to have a new award that's coming out tonight doing that for the Charger Hall of Fame. The CHOFs is what we're hoping that people will start calling the CHOF Awards. You want to get a CHOF. We hope in the future that people will start to say, hey, being recognized for the CHOF Award is something special for a student. It's a high honor. As a matter of fact, we've made it the 14th possible qualifier for the 4 boxes that you need to be the Hall of Famer. So if you do wind up winning one of the CHOFs tonight, you're on your way to the Hall of Fame. Congratulations. But the other thing that we want to do tonight, we want to recognize the current student athletes for the CHOFs. We want to honor some of the former great stars that have been here. But most of all, we want to connect. We want to connect our alumni to the current students, to the current Shorecrest. For a lot of you that haven't been back, it's changed. But it's awesome to see that Shorecrest is still a powerhouse in a lot of sports. Some sports I didn't even know that we had. So that's a great thing. We want to have that connection. But we also want the connection for the current students. And I really appreciate the kids that are here today. Because what we want you to see is that it's not just some old guy talking on the stage. There's a guy that sat in your seat, played ball. We have guys that went on to be champions of industry, of thought, of family. And we want to connect them. We want you to see that there's a path with what you do today. We all know that graduating from Shorecrest gives you a distinct advantage when you go on and you face whatever the world throws at you. What we don't want to forget is that you got even more of an advantage if you're a student athlete graduating from Shorecrest. So we want to make sure that we get that across to today's athletes as well as recognize those from the past. So it's the appropriate amount of ado, and we will, without further ado, we're going to get this started. And I would like to welcome up to the stage Joan Forrest, who will be introducing our first Hall of Fame inductee.
Thank you. It's quite an honor and a pleasure to be here to introduce you to Jeff Rich. Jeff was a year ahead of my son, and so I had the privilege of watching him play all but 2 of his football games and almost every basketball game, but I have to admit I only went to 1 track meet. Yes, Jeff is a 3-sport athlete here at Shorecrest. He was a tremendous leader in the athletic department. He was captain of the varsity football team twice for 2 years. He was captain of the varsity basketball team 3 years and captain of the track team 2 years. Most people are fortunate to be elected captain once in one sport. But Jeff just had a tremendous leadership, a passion for his school, a desire to compete and be the best that he could be, and also to bring the best out of his fellow athletes, particularly the younger students that were looking up to him and learning how to be a Charger. Just some of his other accomplishments, when he was the captain of the football team, they won the district championship 1 year and were the runner-up another year. In the basketball arena, they were the district champions 1 year, and in varsity track, they made it to the states. Jeff's had a tremendous amount of accomplishments. In football, he was the team MVP, all conference, all district, all county, all Suncoast, all state. He also is recognized in the Shorecrest 2,000 plus yards, all-purpose yard club, and he had the record for the most touchdowns in a game at 5 in one game, and I remember that game. Jeff never got off the field, literally. He would play offense, defense, special teams. I remember one game when he intercepted a ball just about on the end zone, ran 99 yards for a touchdown, then held the ball for the kicker to get the extra point, then lined up for the kickoff and ran downfield. And I think there was maybe enough time in there at one point for him to go over to the side and throw up once. In football, Jeff also, because we're hot and humid here in Florida, would cramp up a lot because he never got off the field and ran so hard. So the kids would drink water all day long and carry water around with them. That wasn't working. They got pickle juice from Harvey's. Harvey's used to save all the pickle juice, and Jeff would go pick it up and dole it out to the kids, and that still wasn't working. So one day after practice, Coach Hayford said, Jeff, go home and ask your mom for some Midol. That's for cramps. So Jeff went home and asked his mom, and she said, what? And Jeff was such a leader that my son came home and asked me the same thing that night. I said, what? So he was willing to do anything and everything to be able to compete and never come off the field. He's also in basketball achieved 1,000 points in the 1,000-point club, 1,173 points. He was all conference in track, a regional track finalist in 3 events, and a Florida State track finalist in 3 events. He also had academic accomplishments, athletic academic accomplishments at the same time that he was accomplishing all this. In his senior year for football, he was on the Pinellas South County All-Star Academic Award and the St. Pete All-City Academic Team. It's great to see Jeff continuing his leadership and his love for Shorecrest, now as the president of the Alumni Association. I know that he will continue to drive the love for Shorecrest and the growth of Shorecrest in the community and with our alumni. And it's just a great honor and pleasure to be able to present to you Jeff Ridge for induction into the 2017-18 Shorecrest Alumni Hall of Fame. Come on up, Jeff.
Thank you so much, Joe. I have pretty much a lot of thank yous that I want to say. And then I saw Coach Rapp sitting down here. I'm going to tell a story about him in a minute too. But I want to say first thank you to the Hall of Fame Induction Committee. They've done a tremendous job. As Joan said, I have continued to be pretty involved with the school, and someone's good, probably sick of seeing me standing up here talking to you during these assemblies. But it means a lot, a tremendous amount to me and my family that I was chosen this year, and I really would like to thank you for that. I'd like to thank my wife. My wife I didn't know her in high school, so she didn't know anything about me being an athlete. The reason I want to thank her is because she believes me every day when I tell her how much of an athlete. And with no real visible proof anymore to show that, it means a lot that she believed me. I'd like to thank my parents, probably more than anyone else. As a Shorecrest student, you may not know this now, you'll know it later. You're very lucky to have parents that are involved and care so much about what you do on and off the field. And my parents certainly weren't an exception to that. And I don't think enough thank yous that I could say in my life to show my gratitude for that. And they weren't the type of parents who were overbearing on the field or the court, mostly. And there may be a few basketball officials that might dispute that, but they were instrumental in everything that I did and made sure that I could exceed at the highest level that I wanted to. I'd like to thank my coaches. I had a lot of coaches. 3 of them are actually here. Coach Field, Coach Schaefer, and Coach Rapp. They taught me a tremendous amount, not just about sports, but about being a good person, about being a good teammate, about character. And one of the things that, when we talk about connecting to the current students, I want you to know that it's athletics teaches us a lot of things. It's very important to listen to what these coaches are telling you, because most of us at some point our athletic careers will end, and the things we learn that didn't have to do with athletics often are the most important things that we take with us. Coach Schaefer, taught me that it's always, you're gonna have to make a lot of decisions in your life, but it's important to make the right decisions when nobody's looking. That's what shows your true character. Coach Schaefer always believed that I was making the right decisions, and that's a lot of belief to put in a high school student. To just unequivocally, if he was asked if I was doing the right thing when he wasn't there, he would have always told you yes, and I'm very grateful for that. Coach Field was instrumental in those same things. He also taught me math, which ended up being fairly important to me. So quickly, the story about Coach Rapp. When I was a junior, we were at the regional track meet in Lakewood Ranch. And at the time, if you've been down to Lakewood Ranch, current students, a really nice place now. At the time, the school was brand new, and there was nothing between here and Lakewood Ranch. And all of a sudden, there was this school about 45 minutes away. And I ran 200 meters, 100, 200, and 4x1. And as a junior, I came up a little bit short in a couple of those things, but in the 200, I came in third, which got me to the state meet. When they posted the results, they showed that I was sixth. And this wasn't like a close race. It was like 1, 2, 3, and then 4, 5, and 6 were nowhere to be found. We knew this was wrong. Coach Rapp went to bat for me, went up there and said, let's review the film. And they said, we erased the film. And Coach Rapp said, well, that obviously doesn't make any sense. So very disappointed, junior, got in the car with my dad, drove all the way back here to St. Petersburg. And a friend of mine calls me as we're pulling into the driveway and says, you got to come back. And I said, what do you mean? He said, they put you in the final of the 200. So my dad turns his Volvo S80 Turbo, which was a cool car, around and drove about 110 miles an hour back to Lakewood Ranch. And I didn't know what I was going to encounter when I got there, if they were going to run the race. Well, what I found was Coach Rapp standing in the middle of the track, not moving until I got there, would not let them run the race. That is a commitment like I've never seen anywhere since I've been at, and even at the college level, I've never seen something like that. And that's the type of coaches you have coaching. I want to thank my teammates. I don't think anybody's here that I played with, but if you see any of my former teammates, you tell them I thank them. It's vitally important. You can't do team sports without your teammates, and I wouldn't be here if it weren't for all of them. I want to thank the other inductees, by the way. I didn't know them all necessarily, a couple until today, maybe. Hadn't really got a chance to meet them, but I was always aware of all of these guys. And they're the people that I was always chasing. I wanted to be better than them. I saw their pictures hanging on the all-state wall or whatever it might be. I had the opportunity to actually see Tony play. And those are the guys I wanted to beat them. I wanted to be better than them. And I mean that as the highest compliment, because I knew that they were driving me to be better. So thank you for making me a better athlete. And I want to thank finally the current students that are here. Without the past, there's no future. Without the future, there's no past. I would tell you that when you leave here tonight, be a leader. Do the right thing when no one's watching, and you'll be a very successful person. And to leave you with a quote from a great American, Henry Ford: whether you believe you can or you believe you can't, you're right. Thank you.
Congratulations, Jim. He's a perfect example of Shorecrest athletics, being able to excel in 3 separate sports, being MVP and be a team captain. As one of the great things about being at a place like Shorecrest, having that opportunity. So I'm going to welcome to the stage. Wait a minute, where am I? Okay. Jeff Rapp, our athletic director, is going to talk about the criteria for the CHOFs, the Outstanding Athletic Awards, and introduce the first award winners of the evening.
Well, good evening. And again, once again, thank you for being here tonight. We've decided to try to get more of our students involved, as Jim was telling you earlier, so that they have an opportunity to hear those stories, from our Hall of Fame. And that's you're out there fighting every day on the field or on the court to be one of them. Okay, so remember that, and I appreciate you guys being here. We are going to present in each class an outstanding athlete, female, and outstanding male athlete for each class. The purpose of these awards are to recognize student athletes who demonstrate excellence in athletics and in the classroom. These individuals will have shown an attitude of respect towards their teachers, peers, and all those associated with the athletic process. They will have exhibited excellence not only on the field or court of play, but also in the classroom. They will have contributed to their team's success and demonstrated leadership, a willingness to learn, and competed in the FHS AA varsity level athletics. We're going to begin with our freshman awards. Tonight we're presenting the award for an outstanding freshman male athlete. And this award is presented to a student who played varsity soccer as a freshman. And I didn't have an opportunity to see him play until he started playing here at Shorecrest, and I heard he was a particularly really good soccer player. So when I had the opportunity to watch him, it was everything that it was meant to be to see. As a freshman, he scored 7 goals, 1 assist in 12 matches. He scored both goals to beat one of our rivals, Tampa Prep. And he always demonstrated, even as a 9th grader, constant leadership and always provided the pressure that Coach asked him on the opposing players. The award for the outstanding male athlete in the freshman class goes to Ronan Dillo. The award for the freshman female athlete this year goes to someone who played varsity level volleyball since 7th grade, was involved not only just in our athletics, but also in photographing our athletics for the yearbook at every event I would turn and see this individual. She started in 72 sets this season. She had 140 digs, 351 serve receptions, compiled 40 aces while having 2 kills. The award for outstanding female athlete in the freshman class goes to Julian Kramer. And now I would like to ask Mr. David Field to come on up to present his next Hall of Fame.
I guess those freshman athletes, they get to have their speeches at another time when they get the awards later in their life. The first thing I would like to do to introduce Hunter Glong is the candidate that I'm going to introduce. And I want to give you his, quote, track record, that's a pun, first, and give you some of his accomplishments. Number 1, he broke the high school high jump record as a sophomore in 1991, jumping 6 feet 8 inches. He was the high jump champion at the Ernest Givens Invitational in 1992 and 93 as junior and senior year. He was high jump conference champion in 91, 92, and 93, that's his sophomore, junior, and senior year. He was also the high jump district champion in those same 3 years. He took 8th place in the high jump at state and meet in 1991 when he was only a sophomore. And then when he was a junior, he won the state championship jumping again 6 feet 8 inches. And he was a state runner-up again in 1993 as a senior. Hunter placed first in all the conference meets in his sophomore, junior, and senior years. He also placed first at all of his district meets except for 2 as sophomore, junior, and senior year. And he held the conference and district records over the same period of time. Those are the accomplishments that Hunter had as a high jumper here at Shorecrest. He's not going to be able to be here with us tonight, So I was going to share a few thoughts that I have, but I have to give you a disclaimer first, and I asked you to bear with me on some of the things that I say because of what he had written as an email to share with you. I think needs a little bit of background so you understand a little bit better of how amazing young man this guy is. My disclaimer, first of all, before I get started is, this is only what I remember, which may differ considerably with what others remember or what actually happened. And I know this for a fact because being the age that I am, I have children that as I've looked over the years and we've talked about things and I remember one thing and they remember something very different. We took a long vacation up the East Coast one summer after school ended, and we and my wife thought it was a wonderful vacation. It was educational. We went to a lot of places. And just recently on Facebook, one of my children said to the other children, "You remember that vacation we had from hell?" So you just remember it differently. So here is what I remember. I took the job of coaching track for a couple of years, and that was back in the early years of Shorecrest when coaches were scarce. So, and I needed money. So I didn't know a whole lot about track, and that's important. But I took the job, and what I learned from reading books, talking to some other coaches, and went to a few clinics. But I'll tell you, I knew nothing about high jumping whatsoever. And Hunter at that time was either sophomore or junior. I don't even remember. That's one of the things you don't remember as you get older. But all the successes that I just read, and there were several of them, I cannot, unfortunately, I'd like to, but I cannot take any credit for any of that whatsoever. To coach track, and some of you coaches out there that have coached track, you know that you have to coach so many different areas. And so I was really at a loss. You have sprinters, you have long distance runners, you have hurdlers, you've got shot putters, you got discus throwers, you got high jumpers, you got long jumpers, you got pole vaulters. So, there's no way. So number one, what's amazing about what Hunter had accomplished was that he had done it all on his own. He was his own coach, and he achieved all those successes through his own diligence, his own hard work, and his own efforts. But there's more to the story besides all those accomplishments. We also had a young lady that had come out for track, freshman, and very athletically talented. And she wanted to be a high jumper, but there was no way that I could show her or coach her in the techniques of high jumping. And Hunter took her under his wing. And he spent a lot of time coaching this young lady named Jen Majerus. And he coached her, and he spent a lot of practice time that he could have had practicing his high jump, working with her, showing her the techniques and helping her and critiquing her and encouraging her. So he was instrumental in helping Jen become an outstanding high jumper in her own rights through Shorecrest. So since Hunter could not be here, he sent this email, which I want to share with you, because it tells you a little bit about who Hunter was, and some of what I just said also gives you a good hint as who Hunter was. So this is from Hunter. He said, "I attended FSU. I received a scholarship for track and field, but redshirted my freshman year. Towards the end of the freshman year, I got an invitation from Great Britain record holder in high jump, Dalton Grant, to leave school and train full-time with him and the Great Britain Olympic team. They trained at FSU during the off-season due to the weather in Great Britain. I went home during break and got in a car accident, of which the injuries did not allow me to continue with track and field. I was pretty messed up after I lost athletics as an identity. I fell deeply into drug and alcohol abuse to mask my pain and confusion and fear. Being an athlete was the only way I knew how to identify with the world. It took many years for me to discover the truth of who I really am and the value of it. I transformed my pain into awareness, and having been mentoring and coaching teenagers and parents for the past 15 years on seeing, fostering, and validating our true worth. That car accident was the best thing that ever happened to me. and our community, as it has given me the opportunity to see myself and the world from a much more authentic and loving place, which I am able to share with others. And he is now a counselor at the West Coast Recovery Centers. So as I first read Hunter's email, it occurred to me that Hunter had done what every parent, teacher, and coach strives to do. And that is to take our experiences, whether they're good or bad, whether successful failures or mistakes, and use them to help our own children, our students, our players, and fellow human beings overcome their challenges and avoid the mistakes that we have made to become productive, positive members of our society. And you heard Jeff Rich talk about it as well. So much more than athletics to be taught to young people. And it appears to me that Hunter's true identity that he was seeking out is one of a coach and a mentor. He had come full circle, right from when he was in high school, mentoring and coaching Jen Majerus, to what he is doing now in helping people that are in difficult situations. And personally, I think, in my opinion, there is no higher calling than that. So I'm very proud of what Hunter has become and what he has done, not only as accomplishment as an athlete, but as a person. And there is a few more words to say. I think Clay Hall has gotten an email from Hunter and some words that he would like to share with you as well.
So Hunter asked me to say a few words on his behalf, and it's more or less a paraphrase of what Coach just said, but we're just going to get into it here. It is an understatement to say what an honor it is to receive this award from a school whose athletic history is so rich. Thank you. My first thought is that as a student athlete, I don't feel I deserve this award. I was entitled, an arrogant and often uncoachable adolescent time bomb that just happened to be able to jump really high. I never trained or honored my gift. I realize now that my athletic accomplishments only served my ego in covering up insecurities that ran so deep that eventually led to addiction. For me, this award is about life coming full circle, like Coach mentioned. It is about a confused and scared boy's journey to manhood, dropping the image and living authentically from the inside out. I dedicate this award to anyone who has struggled to own their own inherent greatness, to those who, by all outward appearances, seem to be fine, yet carry a dark inner turmoil. Always strive, you will arrive. Most of all, I dedicate this award to Brady Ulrich, who passed away in January of this year. Thank you to all who have been a part of this extraordinary journey. Blessings to all. Hunter Glom.
And I believe Hunter's record still stands. 27 years later, still has the high jump record here. Gonna welcome back up Matt and Jeff to do the next set of her student awards.
I'm honored to be a part of this night. I think it's a great tradition, both old and new, with how the format's changing tonight. Was also very happy to see our last inductee was class of '93, which is when I graduated school, and so that the statute of limitations isn't out, and they all be expecting my call from my high school at some point. So I'm doing the sophomore outstanding athletes, and with our award winners for this class, in talking with coaches and within the athletic department and peers, a couple of the same words kept coming up, and it was positive attitudes, dedication to the teams, and hard work. So for our sophomore outstanding female athlete, this is the second consecutive year she's been a Triple Crown winner. She's a member of our cheer team, our varsity soccer team, and varsity tennis. Also, for those who aren't aware, Triple Crown award winners are student athletes that participate in at least 3 varsity sports per year. She had a breakout season in soccer, contributed to much of the team's success by doing the intangible things that stats don't necessarily cover. In tennis, she worked her way from JV last year to being a top 5 member of the varsity team, and is a leader on the cheer team as well. So the award for the outstanding sophomore female athlete goes to Lindsay Leonhard. And our male outstanding sophomore athlete has been a member of our varsity basketball team as well as our track team. He is described as the ultimate team player. He averages 14 points, 8 rebounds, 2 blocks, and 1 steal per game. In just his second season on the varsity basketball team, he is just shy of 500 points, so is well on his way towards our 1,000-point board we have in the gym. Was voted by his teammates and coaches as the most improved player. In track just last week, he placed 4th in the 110-meter high hurdles at our district meet, and yesterday finished 8th at the regional meet. The award for the outstanding sophomore male athlete goes to Omiron Malcolm.
First thing I need to do is apologize for my appearance. I just walked off the practice field, so I didn't have a chance to get changed. But anyway, here I am. I have the privilege to present Tony Lazera to the Shorecrest Hall of Fame. Over the years, I've presented quite a few coaches and athletes, and I consider this a real honor. He asked me to be his presenter. When I think of Tony and his athletic career here at Shorecrest, he epitomizes what great athletic ability and tremendous work ethic can do. At this time, when he was playing, we had our freshmen play with the 7th, 8th, and 9th graders play together called the league team. Well, I let Tony know right away that he wasn't going to be playing on the league team. He was going to be playing on the varsity as a ninth grader. And I think he took it to heart, and he gave us everything he had in that time until his graduation. He was a great running back, an outstanding linebacker, and a really talented kicker. Now, Tony is a great competitor. And when I say that, sometimes during his freshman year, he'd get a little bit out of hand competing. And so what Coach Field and I would do is we would see that happening, and when it happened, we'd pull him out of the game, and he'd come over and he'd stand between us. And I can't tell you the number of times that I would sit there and watching the game and have look at Tony, and he's looking back and forth at us because he wants to get back in the game. And finally, I think he got the message that you needed to control it a little bit. One of the games that I always think of Tony was Lehigh Acres game. Lehigh Acres was a 5A school. I don't even know why we played them. Probably the athletic director goofed up. But anyway, it was their first game in their new stadium, and they were just very talented. Tony kicked 2 field goals in the first half, and with time running out in the half, I called on the 9th grader to step up and kick a 50-yard field goal. He kind of glanced at me, but then off he went. And when he kicked it, it was right dead center but it was and when I say a little bit short, I mean it was like a yard short was all it was. But anyway, as we ran to the locker room, he kind of said, Coach, he said, I didn't know that you really thought that I could do that. But anyway, we won the game 9-6, 3 field goals by Tony. And I just want to remind everyone that the fans weren't real happy about that after we got them, after we beat them. Matter of fact, we got a police escort out of town because they were worried about the fans and how they would accept it. Another story that I have on Tony, okay, it speaks to his work ethic and how driven he was. My wife came in, and I came driving in one day, and this was the football field. And as we drove by the football field, Tony's standing here by himself, or he's out there by himself, and he's got 3 footballs lined up before a goalpost, and the goalpost just has like a canvas wrap around it. And Tony would back off about 40 yards, he would run up, pick up a football, and then run smack dab into the goalpost. No pads on or anything. And I thought, what is he doing? And I watched me do it over and over and over again. I guess that was just his way of being tough. Tony had a kicking coach. At times, Carol White came down and worked with him. And Tony went on and he kicked at Clemson. And by the way, I did say Clemson because there is a P in it. But anyway, Tony went on to kick at Clemson. And Carol told me, she said that she attended the game, and she said, I was watching him. You know how they set the net up the side, and then while the game's going on, the kicker kicks it into the net? Well, she said as she watched him the whole game, she counted how many kicks he kicked into the net during the game. She said she counted them, and he kicked over 70. that your name? She was concerned because she thought the game winner had already been kicked. But anyway, all I know is when the game was on the line, I knew, the coaches knew that you get the absolute best. Whether the ball was in his hands or someone needed to make the big play on defense, you know that Tony would get the job done. He called me before he played when he's at Clemson, before a big game, and they were going to play Virginia Tech on TV. It's going to be on Thursday night. He called me, he says, Coach, he says, you got to make sure you turn that game on, because he said, we've been working on a fake. And he said, what they do is they direct snap to me, then he says, I can run it, or I can throw it, and it's, I think we're going to use it. I think we're going to use it. So I'm watching the game, and then that night, okay, here it comes, and Tony Chott's on the field, and I'm thinking, hey, this is it. So I yell, no, I said, get in here. So they're lined up, snap goes directly to Tony. He takes off running around the left end. Now, the Tony that I knew would have run it in himself, okay? But the Tony that had gone to college and had learned his ways at college takes his run in. As soon as the guy stepped up, he lobs it over the top, okay? Beautiful strike, touchdown. What a player, what a player. After he graduated, I called on Tony many times to come and talk to our young players at our football games. He was always so ready to help out. And I can tell you that competitive Tony came out as he spoke to those campers. I've known Tony for 20-some years. I love him. Please join me in welcoming back Hall of Famer Tony Lazaro.
Keep it short. First, I want to thank the coaching staff for putting up with me for 4 years, because I surely was a handful. And it happens that all three of my coaches are here tonight. So Coach Hayford, Coach Van Damen, and Coach Field, sincerely thank you, because I think without you guys, I certainly wouldn't be up here receiving this award. In addition to them, I'd like to thank my parents as well for putting up with me. I had a competitive edge and a bad attitude most of the time. And thank God we won about 90% of our games, so I was in a good mood most of the time. But without my parents' support, obviously, I wouldn't be up here as well. And I'd like to thank my teammates. I think this is really not about sports. It's about people believing in people. And I certainly wouldn't be up here if those people didn't believe in me, so thank you. I'm honored. Now we're going to present our Junior Outstanding Athlete Awards. First, we're going to talk about our male athlete in the junior class. This individual was both a varsity football and varsity soccer player. In soccer, this past season, 6 goals, 6 assists, and 2 game-winning goals. He was the max prep player of the game 3 times for soccer, and he was a max prep player in the football game against St. Pete Catholic this past season. This award for outstanding male athlete in the junior class goes to Logan Stain. Now for our outstanding female athlete in the junior class. This award goes to an athlete who was one of our best divers, voted most valuable diver. She was the FHSAA 1A District 8 diving champion, 1A regional runner-up. She placed 7th at the state finals, which was medals. She medaled in the states. She was a solid teammate, was persistent. She accomplished all of her 1-meter dives at the college level and is moving up to the next level. This award goes to our outstanding female athlete in the junior class, goes to Sophie Elder.
Congratulations to Sophie Logan. All right, now, before I welcome my former baseball coach, Bill Van Hammond, for our next inductee, I want to make sure we do this right. So, representing Shorecrest Athletic Hall of Fame, Bill Van Hammond will announce the number 7 pick of the draft. You are now on the clock.
Thank you, Jim. First of all, before I introduce Byron Kiefer, I'd like to thank Jim Bigger. He did all the groundwork as far as putting the stats together that got Byron nominated and ultimately inducted into the Hall of Fame. If it weren't for Jim, So during the move, my last year at Shorecrest was here in '98. And I had a lot of this stuff stockpiled. And during our move, not really sure where it went. It might be in the attic, it might be in storage, but I couldn't find it. And Jim asked me for it. He said, "Sorry, Jim, I don't have it." So he went through a lot of work compiling all these stats for Byron, and he did an outstanding job. I'd also like to thank or congratulate several people here that are inductees that were attending Shorecrest that I personally coached while I was here. So it's really nice to see Tony being inducted. Congratulations, Tony. Clay Hall, congratulations, Clay. And I was also here while Hunter Blum was here. He was a great kid, and I didn't actually personally coach him. I was a phys ed coach of his for a while. And I was also here for a short time while Jeff was here. So I was really stoked when Myron called me in the fall and said, "Coach, can you introduce me for the Hall of Fame?" I said, "Great, that'd be awesome." But I didn't find out till last week that all the other former athletes are being inducted, and I said, "Wow, this is going to be a fun night." I was really looking forward to it. So now on to Byron. Byron and I have a long history. I was his PE coach since 4th grade. One of the cool things about Shorecrest, I don't know, Jeff, do they still do that? You still coach them from elementary all the way through high school? So anyway, I remember Byron as a 4th grader. Harold Bruggeman, a good friend of Byron's dad, Neil, told me, "Hey, Neil's son is coming up. He's a handful, man. He's a great athlete, but you got your hands full." Well, okay, you're going to be there with me and all that. So I remember he comes out, and he's got the biggest feet of any kid I've seen. You know, he's like this tall, but he's wearing like size 13 shoes already. I'm like, oh, God. But then we were playing flag football, and the kid was throwing like 60 yards. I go, okay. Well, I hope he stays here the rest of his through high school, because I think we got a little something in him. And sure enough, we were fortunate that Byron stuck around here, and he started as a freshman for us, and he was an ace on our staff. He won 7-1 with a 1.8 ERA. He led us to the district championship. He led us to the regional finals, which we lost to the eventual state champion in Lakeland, Santa Fe. He was also an all-county and all-conference player. I'm going to get to the all-conference thing in a little bit. It's a pretty funny story. Sophomore year, he's 5-3, 2.2 ERA, another all-conference. But the highlight of the sophomore year was he played on the PAL, the Police Athletic National Championship team as a sophomore. He was coached by Jim Biggie's dad, Jim, who's in attendance. And he said one of the highlights of that deal wasn't that they won the national championship. He goes, "Coach, played against CC Sabathia." I don't know if any of you guys know who CC Sabathia is. He's kind of a good player, still pitching in the big leagues and all that. And he said, "He hit the longest ball I've ever seen a guy hit in my life. He was a stud." He was like, how tall was he, Jim? Like 6'3" as a sophomore or something like that, 6'4". But that was one of his highlights of his sophomore year. On to his junior year, 1.6 1.6 ERA. I know that conflicts with Jim's stats, but Byron I said, "It looks like you're at 1.9. No, it was 1.6, Coach. 1.6. Come on, make sure you write that down. He also batted .470. Yeah, he could hit and he could rake. He could hit a few homers himself, and he probably would have batted well over 500, but he had the clown shoes on. He couldn't beat out a few infield hits there, so the speed was kind of his detriment on the batting average end. Once again, he led us to a regional final. We lost to eventual state champion Miami Westminster. He was an all-conference player, and he was elected to the all-state team, third team that year. His senior year, he was 7-3. 1.34 ERA, led us to a district championship again, and to the regional finals, which the regional finals that year, we didn't lose to the eventual state champion. The eventual state championship, or champion, was in our own conference, Braden Christian, which Byron beat them twice that year. We beat them in a district championship game, as a matter of fact. So they ended up winning. That still sticks in my cross. Okay. Anyway, he was a selected all-state first team that year and all-conference. Okay, here's where the funny thing about the all-conference thing comes in. Excuse me. Every year you have the coaches go in to vote for all-conference players, and they put it up on the whiteboard, and as a coach you're supposed to give statistics of the player that you nominate. The first 2 years, you had to give Byron statistics and everything else, and unanimous, first 2 years. By the time I got there as junior year, I'd stand up and say, yeah, coach, okay, we already got Byron on it, let's move on, get your other players. By the time we had his senior years, Bob Dale was a good coach of mine, or a good friend of mine at Northside Kristen. He had all the teams listed up there, and Shorecrest was up there, and Byron Kiefer was underneath Shorecrest. So he was the only player on there, and we didn't even have to vote, we didn't have any conversation at all in Byron. He was automatic. He also started pitching in the Pinellas County All-Star game. And the thing about Byron and most of the Hall of Famers here is that if you can play at any level. And he was on the all-conference, all-Pinellas County team, and he was somebody that, he could play with anybody. And the beauty about Byron is he never, ever let the moment get too big. He was always even-keeled. He was somebody that you could trust, and send him out there. He wasn't going to look like Barney Fife holding the gun or anything like that. He was ready and in the moment. And that's why it was one of the big reasons why he was so successful, due to the fact also that he had a lot of really good coaching along the way. I was just part of the ride for him. And coaches like Jim Vigue and some of the other coaches along the way gave him a tremendous baseball IQ. And it was real easy to coach Byron. He was somebody that every guy on the team respected and loved him, not just because he was hardcore or anything, but he respected them as well. He would take our young freshmen under their wing and everything and kind of show them the ropes. And as the seasons went along, it turned out, this wasn't Shorecrest's team, it was Byron's team. Byron was the one, as our team went, it was all because of Byron. And he was the one that held the glue for this team together. Over his career here at Shorecrest, in his 4 years, he led us to a 70-43 record. He was tied in Shorecrest history with 25 wins. He was third in Shorecrest history with strikeouts at 254. After he left Shorecrest, he pitched a year at Elon, and sophomore year pitched a year at St. Pete College, and then he settled in at Mercer. Mercer's a really high-level baseball school that played a lot of Division I schools, including FSU, LSU, and the like. And his claim to fame at Mercer was his junior year he had 33 appearances, which tied the conference lead. He also met his wife, Morella, there. And she, in her own right, was an All-American soccer player. So I think Byron traded up pretty good and found him a winner. And they have 2 beautiful young boys, Tyson and Nolan. And after college, he ended up, he wanted to stay in the sports field, so he picked up a pretty cool job. He started with the Bucks as a interim ground level employee. John Gruden took him under his wing. He was John Gruden's go boy. John Gruden had him go get him in lunch. John Gruden had him drive here. John Gruden this and that. But John Gruden took a big liking to Byron and said, Byron, we're going to make things happen for you. So as years progressed, Byron became the national scout for the Buccaneers. So needless to say, that's why Jim's intro came in there. Byron's in the warm room right now. I'm sure he's telling Jason Light not to screw this pickup, because if you get this one wrong, you're not coming back. But well, if he does, maybe Byron's going to have his job next year. We don't know. As a person, Byron was very humble, never took himself too serious at all. We have another inductee that's coming after me, or after this, Clay Hall. Clay Hall and Byron Kiefer were one and the same, and Jim will attest to that as well. They were somebody that they knew how to diffuse any kind of situation because they're going to make you laugh. They got their work done during practice, but they were somebody that, okay, before the game or whatever, they were going to have some kind of funny antidote to let the players know, okay, hey, you guys all right? Here we go. And one of the beautiful things about Byron was he was always somebody, he wasn't a cheerleader, but he was somebody that stood behind everybody on the field. And as a teammate, that's invaluable. As you know, he's got your back, you got his back, but he was somebody that let everybody else know on the field and in the dugout that he was there for him. He was, oh, there it is. I'm sorry, my arms aren't long enough right here. I forgot my glasses. There we go. He was on a team that, Neil had told me about this. I didn't realize it, and Jim had the info also. During the 90s, Shorecrest was, along with Dunedin, the top team in the county as far as the wins goes. Clay Hall was part of that, Byron was part of that, and 2 years after we left. So it's something that Shorecrest has a rich tradition in baseball, and it's something to be very proud of. I know I am as a coach, and it's always, one of the things as being a coach is, we're like the extended part of the family, and they're just like part of our family, and it's always nice to see accolades handed down to all the hard work that the kids put into, and they achieve their goals, and ultimately get rewarded with things like being inducted to the Shorecrest Hall of Fame. And I know Byron is very, very excited about this, and I was very happy to be able to come up here and do his intro for him. But I do want to say one thing, and just to show you Byron's humility, on Tuesday I was going over some notes and everything else, and I was looking through the email, and I noticed Kate had sent an email that said, let's try to keep our speeches down to 3 minutes because we don't want to be here till 11 o'clock. Like, damn. I'm going to have to cut this by 45 minutes, I guess. But anyway, I texted Byron because I wanted to get a couple things straight on this. And I said, oh yeah, by the way, Byron, we got to keep the speech down to 3 minutes. Byron texted me back, Coach, my greatness can't be summarized in 30 minutes, much less 3. Good luck with that one. With that, that pretty much summarizes Byron. He's a great kid, and he's somebody I'm always going to remember, and I'm very proud to say I was his coach, and I was along for his ride. So, since he can't be here tonight, his parents, Terry, Neil, I guess, are going to come up. I hope they're going to come up and accept the award for him.
Sorry I couldn't be there tonight. Obviously, I'm in Tampa getting ready for the draft right now, but very honored and humbled to receive this award. First, I'd like to thank the committee for this great honor. Also, thank my parents for taking me to and from all the sporting events and keeping alive my passion in sports. Thank all my coaches, specifically Coach Van Amen for his guidance, his mentorship, and just allowing this experience to be super enjoyable. Missed my teammates, and it's funny, the further you get away from the games, the more you miss the bus rides and the practices, more so than maybe the great memories on the field, but obviously Shorecrest enabled me the opportunity to go play at a high level in college and continue playing and get my education there. So thanks for everything, and truly humbled and honored to receive this distinction. Thank you.
So now it's time for the Outstanding Senior Athlete Awards. For our female award winner, she's been a member of the both cheer teams, the sideline cheer and the competitive cheer, as well as varsity softball. She is a member of the 1A Region 3 finalist competitive cheer team from the FHSAA. She was voted the most improved base for the cheer team. She's also been the pitcher for the varsity softball team since her freshman year. I think last year she pitched like every game. And is really just, described as a leader since her freshman year. Unfortunately, apparently she had an allergic reaction today, so she can't be here. But her name is Hannah Leary, is our outstanding senior. And for our outstanding male senior athlete, this year he was actually a member of 4 varsity teams: cross country, basketball, tennis, and track. He was our #1 singles player on the tennis team, as well as part of our #1 doubles team. 2-time MVP in tennis. He is the 2017-18 1A District 9 champion singles player with an automatic bid to the state finals, which will be next Monday. He will continue his tennis career next year at Hobart. In basketball, he averaged 9.4 points a game, 4 rebounds, 4 assists, and 2 steals. And he won the Pinellas County High School Senior All-Star 3-point competition. Also led the basketball team in worst hair that I've ever seen. It's Jack Ledford.
Good evening, everyone. I'm going to go off script a little bit with this. Clay and I have been talking this last week, and Clay's like, what do we say? I don't know what to say. What are you going to say? What should we say? And he's got that intensity about him, And I was sitting there just saying, hey, relax, let's go, let's have fun with this. And, I'm all positive, I'm all upbeat. And I get here, and I look at the other presenters. I see Coach Field, football coach, Coach Hayford, football coach, Coach VA, football coach. And now I'm nervous, because Clay, where's Clay? We don't do a good job, buddy. We're running 440s after this. So anyway, it's great to be here. Great to see a lot of these faces. I was honored when Clay asked me to introduce him this evening. I've known Clay since we were kids. I watched him play stopper for the Junior Raiders Club soccer team. They were state champions. He was co-captain for 6 years. And Clay was that kid where, you always wanted him on your team. That yard ball, the first round pick, Clay Hall. And I didn't get to know Clay until, high school. I knew him pretty well. And fortunately for me, I was able to play with him on some of those teams. So in high school, Clay played football, basketball, and baseball. To many, being a three-sport athlete is quite an accomplishment. To most, to be a starter in 3 sports is a serious accomplishment. And Clay did all of that and considerably more. In football, he was named first-team All-State as a tight end, first-team All-Bay Conference, first-team All-Sun Conference, first-team All-District, and member of the All-City Academic Team. And the academic part is still under investigation. In basketball, he was named first-team All-Conference, MVP of the Highlander Holiday Classic, and a St. Pete Times area standout. In baseball, arguably his best sport, Clay was named first-team All-Conference, first-team All-County, and was a finalist for Pinellas County Player of the Year. And, honestly, Clay, I don't remember you being this good. So, is any of this stuff true? I don't know. It was a long time ago. But
Anyway, so as everybody said, Jim Biggie was very kind in getting me some of Clay's stats, and quite frankly, the list is longer than a career criminal's rap sheet. So for us to get out of here at a decent hour, here are just a few of them. His senior year in football, he led the team in receptions, assists, interceptions, fumbles caused, and fumble recoveries. He was second in tackles, touchdowns, and blocked punts and field goals. For baseball, in his sophomore year, he hit .386 with 15 RBIs. His junior year, he hit .353 with 28 RBIs. And his senior year, he hit .466 with 39 RBIs on only 34 hits, hitting for both average and power. Clay ranks third in Shorecrest history for most RBIs in a season, and he helped seal the victory for the 1989 state championship team with 2 doubles and 3 RBIs over the number 2 team in the nation. And I think Alex Rodriguez played on that team, and so another one of CC Sabathia's stories, quite a famous New York Yankee. Let's see, Clay was an offensive leader on 2 teams up for the St. Pete Sports Salute Team of the Year for 1989. And those teams were the Shorecrest Baseball State Champions and the St. Pete Police Athletic League National Champions. So Clay was a part of that PAL baseball team as well that won a national championship. So as you can see, he was quite an athlete. And Clay went on to play football and baseball at Davidson College. He was a 4-year letterman and named first team All-Southern Conference for baseball as a senior. He led the team in hits, home runs, and batting average, and tied a single-season record for hits at Davidson. He finished his sports career by playing baseball professionally in the Northern League for the Brainerd Bears as a first baseman and a pitcher. So, you know, what most of you don't know, except probably you, Coach, is Clay achieved a lot of this stuff with a bit of a physical handicap. And what happened is he injured himself about 2 weeks prior to 2-a-day football practices in the summer. And what happened was he was out with his friends. They had just won the PAL, you know, they were the PAL national champions, and Clay decided to go with his teammates to a dance club to celebrate. Now, Clay prides himself on being a phenomenal dancer. And it's true, it is, you are good. So, as a result of this, he decided to pull his best John Travolta imitation, and on that dance floor he dropped into a full split. Now, the outcome of that move was a completely torn hamstring, right? And, you know, basically, the truly sad part of that story is that I was a quarterback in the football team, and Clay was my #1 receiver. And his 40 time went from about a 4.7 to a 5.9. And he could only, when running a route, he could get about 5 yards off the line of scrimmage before the play was over. So needless to say, my stats suffered. And any chance I ever had of getting into the Shorecrest Athletic Hall of Fame just went out the window. The crazy thing about it is a lot of the achievements that I just listed, Clay actually accomplished after this injury, right? All the football stuff I read, all of the Davidson stuff, professional baseball, he did it after this. And it was a serious injury, such that about 6 weeks after the injury, it was the second game of our football, season, our senior year. Clay's out there playing with a heavily taped up hamstring. He is a fierce competitor, phenomenal athlete, a great friend of mine. So, Clay, congratulations on a well-deserved honor. Come on, let's hug it out.
All right, home stretch here. Tony was pretty quick, and Kiefer wasn't here, Hunter wasn't here, so I'm going to take up their time if that's cool. Good evening, everyone. I was planning to start off with a few thank yous, but I feel the need to explain the whole Travolta split story. So I was a first baseman. I I was pretty flexible, and I had a signature stretch move where on a close play, I would do a full split. And if it was a bang-bang play, more often than not, I did that full split. Umpire would call the runner out. So it's only natural that I would incorporate those splits in my dance repertoire, right? And I'm going to use better judgment now than I used that night 29 years ago, and I'm going to stop the story there. Sorry, Coach Figure. Sorry, Coach Hafer. Sorry, Morgan. All right, I promised my son Grant that I would read this story. It's going to be quick, but he actually made me a little book. So before I get into the thank yous, I'm going to read Hall to the Hall of Fame. My dad, Clay Hall, has been inducted to the Hall of Fame. Mind blown. That's because he's a very good athlete. He got football, soccer, basketball, baseball. He tries to teach me sometimes, but I complain. And flip around, flip it, don't rip it. Dad makes the shot. Dad makes the shot. And I do the complaining. Get back here. Even though I complain a lot, well, so do my brothers, my dad, Clay Hall, will always love me. Picture. My dad will be there in the Hall of Fame, even for future generations. And he drew a picture of me holding this book on the Hall of Fame wall there in year 3816. So hopefully Shorecrest is still around. Grant, I love you, buddy. Thank you. I'd like to extend my sincerest gratitude to the Hall of Fame committee for honoring me with such a prestigious award. I'd like to thank Shorecrest, teachers, coaches, faculty, staff. Thank you for the top quality education that you provided during my 4 years here. It was truly second to none. I'd like to thank Kate Merritt for running point on all the back and forth communication pertaining to this event. She advised me to limit my speech to just under 30 minutes, and I don't know if that's possible. 30. It was a 0. I'm taking up time for other people who weren't here. That's okay. I'll do my best to hurry along now. I'd like to thank Morgan for introducing me today. Morgan, I know you love nothing more than public speaking, so I appreciate you getting up here. Morgan was not only our quarterback, but he was also the valedictorian of our class. And like you said, after we graduated from Shorecrest, we both went to Davidson College and have maintained a close friendship for now over 30 years. We're old, buddy. We're old. But also, congratulations. Morgan and his lovely fiancee, Meadow, are getting married in 2-3 weeks. May 8th, so congratulations and good luck. Talented and exceedingly patient wife for being here to enjoy this moment with me, and my 4 wonderful, they're actually being really good tonight, which is crazy. I was going to say energetic, spirited children, but my 4 boys, Connor, Brogan, Grant, and almost forgot their names, Connor, Brogan, Grant, and Nolan. Always do your best, believe in yourself, and don't give up. Love you guys. And I was going to apologize in advance to Shorecrest, but in this venue, I don't think they're going to break anything tonight. So I think we're good. If they do on the way out, and it's of significant value, just put it on Morgan's tab. And I'd like to thank my Shorecrest teammates. We pushed each other. You pushed me. We pushed each other to always give 100%, never accept anything less than our best. And now to the good part, coaches. A lot of my coaches here. The deep and profound impact that each and every one of you had on my life is more than you'll ever know. I'm going to start with Coach Hayford here. Coach, you transcended the role of football coach in so many ways. You were an inspirational leader, a respected father figure, a mentor, and a friend. And you had such a deep and meaningful impact on my life that I actually wrote a college admissions essay about you as a man I most admire. So I just want you to know that it was an honor and a privilege to play for you. Coach VA, come on, babe, you look great. And hey, I was actually worried about my speech taking too long until I heard VA. I'm good, I'm in the clear now, people. Coach Van Amen, you were a master motivator. You made us believe we could compete against anyone. And with only 3 seniors, our 1999 season, you took us back to Boardwalk and Baseball for the 3rd straight season, which was an accomplishment in and of itself. Quick story about Coach VA. Happened at the Seminole tournament. I thought it was the ISD's tournament, but that's neither here nor there. But it was my senior year, and due to unforeseen circumstances, and despite the fact that I hadn't pitched in a game since Little League, Coach VA decides to hand me the rock against Dixie Hollins. Well, at the time, Dixie Hollins was arguably the best team in the state. They were on a 9 or 10 game win streak. They had just defeated nationally ranked Sarasota High. But you believed in me, and we won that game and eventually went on to win the whole tournament. So thanks for your confidence in me, and I went on to pitch for 4 years in college and then 2 more years in the pros. So thank you. Coach Vigu, love you, man. You were a sensational baseball coach and mentor. Our 1989 team, we were exceptionally good, but I think it was because of your leadership, your baseball genius, your quiet intensity, your calm and calculated approach that you helped us, tiny little Shorecrest, catapulted us over nationally ranked powerhouse Miami Westminster to win the state championship. That was an amazing accomplishment, amazing feat. They were number 2 in the country, I think we just mentioned that, and they had A-Rod for crying out loud, and we still beat them. You believed we could, and we did. So thank you, and you're a great man, dear friend to my father, and it was a true privilege playing baseball for you on multiple teams. Now I'd like to thank my sister, if she's here, Noelle. Thank you, you're always my #1 fan. You've been cheering me on since T-ball, and I'm so grateful that both you and Taylor could be here tonight. And lastly, I want to thank my parents, first and foremost, for adopting me. I don't think it's possible to quantify the hard work, the sacrifice, support, and all the opportunities that they provided for me. It's not common knowledge, but my biological parents were only 15 and 17 years old, just kids at the time. And Lord only knows where I'd be right now had it not been for Leon and Betty Lynn Hall adopting me. So I can guarantee I wouldn't be here accepting this award tonight. So thank you, Mom and Dad, and I gotta believe they're up in heaven right now, smiling down and beaming with pride. And before I conclude, I'm gonna give you a little Coach Clay here. Before I conclude, I'd like to leave everyone in this room with something that my buddy Travis Hafner, former Major League first baseman, shared with me and our Little League team recently. It's something that resonates with me and with our players in Little League. And if you don't remember anything else about my speech tonight, I hope this sticks with you. It's simple, it's easy to remember, it's just 3 letters and 1 word. It's ACE, A-C-E. A is for attitude. If you approach every task, no matter how menial or how boring you may think it is, with a positive attitude, enthusiasm, and passion, you will improve, you will get better, and you may actually have some fun doing it. Hope my kids are listening. C is for concentration. Concentrate and focus on every task at hand. When you concentrate, you process information, you learn, you get better. And E is for effort. Always give your best effort. Shouldn't matter how tired you are, how distracted you are, there is no excuse for not giving 100% effort. So if you approach everything in life with a positive attitude, concentrate on the task at hand, and always give your best effort, you will be successful. Thank you all.
Congratulations, Clay. I had the privilege of playing with Clay. And as you can tell, obviously we were successful. We were a very talented team, very good-looking team. And between Coach Van Ammen and the 2 of us, most bus rides consisted of my dad, who was the head coach, saying, for crying out loud, you guys shut up, because we all can talk. But anyways, for the last award of this evening, Jeff's going to come up and do the Coach of the Year award.
Wow, great stories. I love hearing you guys. I love this, man. Been looking forward to this. This is something new that we're also bringing out, and this is a Coach of the Year award. And this award goes to a coach who not only has shown the ability to coach their teams to success, but also has shown the ability to have a positive impact on the athlete's academic and attitude. The coach may be a middle school, JV, or varsity level. They must demonstrate coaching effectiveness and exhibit knowledge of the game through their understanding of rules, system of play, and coaching philosophy. The coach must also exhibit positive behavior in both practice and in games. And as you can imagine, when we had to look and pick and choose one of our coaches this year to, out of over 50 coaches that we have here, get this award, all of us in the office immediately agreed on this choice. It was, for us, an easy choice this year to come up with this one individual. This coach not only continues to teach our athletes the game that he coaches, but he also continues to coach and teach all of us and all of his assistant coaches. He is a soccer coach. He is our boys varsity soccer coach. I have learned so much from listening to him, watching him, and enjoying the game of soccer more. And I find myself more now, when you go through the TV and soccer games on. Years ago, I would just keep flipping through. Now I actually understand the game because now I actually can see the formations. There's formations in soccer. Shapes. Before I bring him up on stage, I just want to brag about him a little bit. I do realize that for Coach Jason Montoya, this is very uncomfortable for him. He does not like to be brought up on stage or have to receive anything like this, but he is well deserving of this. He is our first year head coach. He has been coaching with us from middle school. He's been the assistant head coach. Now this year was his first year as head coach. We won the district championship, we won the regional championship, and we went all the way to the Final Four and had to travel all the way up to McClay, which is in Tallahassee, which was last year's reigning state champions, and we lost them 1-0 at that game. So what an accomplishment that he has brought to us in our soccer program. Our soccer program around the county now, Shorecrest soccer is known and feared. Our kids, if you watch our kids, I hope you guys come out and watch him coach. I can't say enough good things about him. I want to thank his wife for all her patience. We sit up in the press box and she tells me all kinds of great stories about soccer. And Jason not only coaches his kids during the game, but one of the amazing things that he does is after every game, he will go home and he will write a report about that game, and he will send in a report to each individual player about what they did right and what they need to improve on. Coach will sit in his office every time I walk by at lunch. He's watching soccer. He's dissecting the next team. He is doing everything soccer, and it shows. And so at this time, I'd like to bring up Coach Jason Montoya.
Get an award, I would have wore a tie. But in all sincerity, just a thank you goes to everyone. A big thank you, yes, to my wife for the patience, not only here coaching at Shorecrest and coaching competitively. A thank you to the athletic department for putting up with my stories that they pretend to care about. Thank you. Ultimately, I've always said it, it's not me. It's the players. So thank you to the players. I've noticed that they're taking pictures over there. I have one request. The only way I'll take a picture over there is if the boys are there with me. Thank you.
Congratulations to the boys soccer team. Great year. Congratulations, Coach. Thank you, everybody, for coming out tonight. Thank you especially to the student athletes that stayed. Hopefully, we accomplished trying to connect between the legends of the past and the legends that we're seeing that happen in this year. Hopefully, we'll be talking about you 20 years from now. Thank you all for coming out here. We really appreciate your support, and hopefully we'll see you at Shorecrest athletic events all next season, because I guess we're kind of wrapping them up now. And in conclusion, the folks that did the inductees, as well as the recipients of this year's first Chalk Awards, we can get you to come up to get some photos taken in front of the green. Otherwise, thank you all very much and have a great evening.